After my last video about how narcissists steal your joy, I received a comment that stopped me in my tracks. It came from a viewer named Janet, and her words captured something that I needed to explore more deeply. She wrote, "Those moments are ingrained in my psyche forever. Of course, back then I only knew how difficult, cold, and cruel he was. I did not realize it was all about dominance, control, and power. I was not permitted to have any emotion, happy, sad, joy, absolutely nothing. Not permitted to have any emotion." Let that sink in for a moment. Today, I want to talk about something that might be one of the most insidious aspects of narcissistic abuse: the systematic suppression of your entire emotional landscape. When Janet said she wasn't permitted to have emotions, she named something that most survivors struggle to articulate. This isn't just about having your joy stolen during happy moments. It's about being denied the right to your own inner life entirely. Think about what this means. You can't be happy. That threatens their need to be the source of all good things. You can't be sad. That requires empathy. They don't possess an attention they won't give. You can't be angry. Well, that might lead to you standing up for yourself. You can't be excited. That energy should be directed at them, not your own interests. The narcissist needs you emotionally flat, neutral, a blank canvas on which they can project whatever role serves them in that moment. This emotional censorship serves multiple purposes in their system of control. So let's break this down. First, it ensures that you do not outshine them. Your genuine joy, your authentic enthusiasm, your natural warmth, these are threats. They cannot compete with authenticity because everything about them is performance. So rather than rise to meet you, they must bring you down to their level. Second, it keeps all the attention flowing towards them. Emotions demand attention. And if you're genuinely happy about something, normal people might ask you about it. If you're struggling with something, normal people might offer you support. All of the attention belongs to them in their distorted worldview. You're not entitled to it. Third, this is perhaps the most calculated. It leaves you too depleted to question or resist. When you're constantly monitoring and suppressing your own emotional response, when you're walking on those eggshells, trying not to feel too much of anything, you have no energy left to examine the relationship itself. Janet mentioned something crucial. They must be the hero, the victim, or the martyr. Never the villain. This is the narcissist script, and they will torture reality until it fits these roles. When they're the hero, you must be grateful, diminished, saved by their magnanimous presence in your life. When they're the victim, You become the persecutor, no matter how gently you've tried to address legitimate concerns. When they're the martyr, you're the ungrateful burden that they nobly bear despite your countless flaws and failings. But villain, never. That role is exclusively reserved for you. I remember moments with Neil where I would try to discuss something that hurt me, something he had said or done. I wasn't attacking him. I wasn't being dramatic. I was simply trying to communicate the way healthy partners do. But within minutes, the conversation would twist until somehow I was the one apologizing. I was the one who had caused the harm. I was the villain in the story that I didn't even recognize. This is how they maintain their internal narrative. They psychologically cannot see themselves as the bad guy. So they must reshape reality to preserve that self-image, and you become collateral damage in that process. Janet wrote something else that resonated deeply. She writes, "Of course, back then, I only knew how difficult, cold, and cruel he was. I did not realize it was all about dominance, control, and power. This is why emotional abuse is so hard to identify, especially while you're living in it. Well, we see the effects, the coldness, the cruelty, the difficulty, but we don't see the architecture behind it. We don't understand that these are not random acts of meanness, but rather carefully constructed walls of a prison we can't even see. Physical abuse leaves visible marks. Financial abuse leaves paper trails. But emotional abuse, it leaves you questioning your own perception, doubting your own feelings, wondering if you're being too sensitive or expecting too much. Hear me when I say this. The suppression of your emotions is abuse. The dismissal of your feelings is abuse. The requirement that you remain emotionally neutral while they get to experience the silent treatment, the rage, all of that spectrum of madness, that's abuse. Janet also mentions something important. She writes, "There are many levels of narcissism, along with sadism. This is true, and it's worth acknowledging. Not every narcissist operates the same way. Some are more covert, hiding their manipulation behind a mask of confusion or helplessness. Others are more grandiose, openly demanding the admiration that they believe they deserve. And some add sadism to the mix, taking pleasure in your pain, seeking opportunities to hurt you. But regardless of where they fall on the spectrum, they all share certain core traits: the lack of empathy, the inability to see you as a full human being with your own needs and rights, the requirement that you exist primarily to serve their emotional needs while having none of your own." Janet began her comment with something heartbreaking. "Those moments are ingrained in my psyche forever," she wrote. If you've experienced this type of emotional suppression, you know exactly what she means. There are moments that stay with you, times when you felt joy bubbling up and watched it die under the cold stare, or times when you needed comfort but received contempt instead. Times when you tried to share something that mattered to you, only to have it dismissed or mocked. These moments do become ingrained. They change us. And part of the healing journey is acknowledgement that while we cannot erase these memories, we can change our relationship to them. These moments aren't evidence of your weakness or your failure. They're evidence of what you've survived. They're proof that you had feelings worth suppressing, joy worth stealing, a spirit worth trying to break. Because you were that powerful, that threatening to their control. So, what do we do with this understanding? First, we name it. Emotional suppression is abuse. You were not too sensitive. You were not too emotional. You were human, and you were punished for it. Second, we reclaim our right to feel all of it, the joy, the sadness, the anger, the excitement, the grief, the peace. These are your birthright as a human being. No one has the authority to take them from you. Third, we recognize the warning signs. If you find yourself constantly monitoring your emotional responses around someone, constantly checking yourself before reacting naturally, constantly apologizing for having feelings, that's not love. That's control. And finally, we extend compassion to ourselves. You tried to exist authentically in a situation where authenticity was punished. You tried to feel in an environment where feelings were forbidden. That took incredible courage, even if it didn't feel like it at the time. So I say to Janet, thank you for sharing your experience. Your words, "I was not permitted to have any emotion," captured something profound about narcissistic abuse. You weren't imagining the cruelty. You weren't being oversensitive. You were surviving an attempt to erase your emotional existence. For everyone watching who relates to this, who has felt the same emotional censorship, that same requirement to be blank and neutral, I see you. Your feelings were real. Your reactions were valid. And you deserved so much better. And once you are free from the emotional prison, you have the opportunity to feel full again, to experience joy without punishment, to express sadness without dismissal, to be angry without retribution, to be human in all the messy, beautiful, authentic ways that entails. That's not just healing, that's justice. I'm Grace Channing. I invite you to like and subscribe to this channel as we work towards healing from these satanic experiences. Remember, you can find more resources for your healing journey at gracechanning.com. I offer a free guided meditation to help you begin your healing journey. I hope you come back and visit me again because I have a lot more to share with you.